Hello, everybody, and welcome to Grow Up, Level Up, the podcast where we like to talk about the games that help us grow up and how it continues to influence us today. And man, today we got a really special guest. If you didn't know, my name is Samson, aka Samson XP, and on Grow Up, Level Up, we like to bring guests on and talk about how games influence us, how games helped us grow up, and how as adults we implement games, gaming, fun stuff, hobbies into our day-to-day lives. And man, our guest today could not fit the bill more. Joining us today is top 8 at Seattle Regionals 2026 in the Pokemon TCG with a score of 12 wins, 2 losses, 2 ties, captain of Team Unhinged, the Raging Bolt, Mr. Ogerpon himself, Canada's very own. Put your hands together for David Andrews. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
We got a soundboard, some clapping. It's the studio audience. If you know, we are live on Twitch today. So if you would like to be a part of our live recordings, definitely check us out at Grow Up Level Up on Twitch. But hey, David, thank you for joining us on Grow Up Level Up. How are you doing today?
Honestly, today I'm rather fine right now. Pretty relaxed.
Awesome. Of course, this past weekend, February 28th to March 1st, we had the Pokemon Regionals Championships over in Seattle, Washington, in the US of A. A couple of us from here in Vancouver, including myself, David, and a bunch of our friends, went down and had a great weekend. David kind of had an awesome weekend. Top 8 out of 2,231 competitors. How does that feel, man? Like, that's awesome.
Honestly, it was really exciting. For anyone who in my personal life doesn't know already, this is my second event ever, regional wise. So I've never thought I was going to make it this far, especially with the deck that I was playing. But truth be told, I'm glad that I've gotten this far. And now it's kind of motivated me to think that maybe I need to keep going.
Oh my gosh. And we're going to dive into all of that because, like you said, it was your second event ever. So this is not a full-time thing for you at all. With a deck that is, we'll dive into that a little more. But for folks who are just joining us, we plan on doing a deep dive into David's deck, the Raging Bolt special, at the very end of the episode. But first, I'd like to learn more about David, what motivates him, maybe his tips and tricks onto how to compete, and some things that you can take into your, whether it's Pokemon TCG, or maybe you compete in sports even, or maybe even like other video games. You can take that into your own lives. Shout out to the chat, Sir Dr. JM and the Zapman1. I'm assuming that's Jordan and Dragos. Welcome to the show, guys.
Howdy, howdy.
So, overall, the weekend, pretty good, coming out top 8.
Yeah, not bad. Pretty good.
At your second ever event, like you said. I guess I want to learn more about how you felt throughout the day. Of course, for those who don't know, the Pokemon Regionals takes place in 2 days. The first day is like Swiss almost, where you try to play folks and get 16 points. So the minimum like score you got to leave day 1 with is 5 wins, 2 losses, 1 tie to be able to make day 2. So if you get knocked out of day 1, you're done for the weekend. Just like myself, my final score was 4.
Rip, my guy. Tragic.
I was tilted halfway through, but new experience. Like, this is my first regional, so unfortunately I didn't make day 2. But throughout the day, David, how are you feeling throughout your 8 rounds of phase 1, 8 rounds of day 1?
So, truth be told, when I was going to this event, my mind was kind of going in the direction of like, well, I don't know how likely I am to get this far. Because again, this is my second event ever, right? My first one being back in Vancouver, so over a year. And overall, my mindset was I'm going to do the best I can, focus as much as I can on everything, and overall, just do my best to have fun doing what I'm doing, right? And if I keep going, then I keep going. Ultimately did not expect to end my day 1 record as well as I did, but it also kind of worked out in the end because in a way I kind of did a lot of like thinking about what was likely going to get played at this event, which is ultimately one of the main reasons why I played Raging Bolt.
Cool. So it was a little bit of like setting your expectations but also still meaningfully preparing for the event by like meta predicting almost, it sounds like.
Yeah. Because like ultimately at the end of the day, I understand that like I'm still new. I'm definitely gonna make a lot of misplays, right? And there's definitely some lines I probably wouldn't see that maybe other people who are a lot more experienced would see. But at the same time, I've played other TCGs in the past for quite a long time. So there's like enough where I feel like I have enough under my belt to have a good enough comprehension as to what to do.
Totally, totally. Was there any like, or actually before I ask that, I guess at the end of day one, was it a perfect record? Like, did you lose any
My
matches?
only loss on day one was in the technical ninth round because what they did this time was they did phase two, round one as the last round of day one. It's kind of a bit weird, but basically, day one was supposed to be just 8 rounds, but they made it so that phase two's first round would also be included in day one. So if you basically made day two, you'd have to play one extra round. So ninth round, if you were to put it. And that was my only loss prior, which was to Andrew Hedrick. Everything else I had gone undefeated with one tie.
Nice, nice,
And it
nice.
was an
Yeah.
intentional tie too.
Yeah, to secure that top cut, to secure that day two. There's a little bit of metagaming in that sense.
Yeah.
I still don't really understand it. I just trust what you say. So in that day one slash day 1.1, I guess, were there any moments that really like, or I guess throughout the whole tournament, any moments that really stuck out?
Dude, Dragapult sucks.
Wow, wow. Hey, I feel like I did okay with Dragon Ball.
Okay, no, I'm joking. No, but it, like more than anything, it's just because like my variant of Raging Bolt that I play is designed to defeat decks like Dragapult,
Mm-hmm.
which I specifically charted in the sense of I knew Dragapult was going to be very likely played in high amounts during the event.
It was the most popular deck of the
Because
weekend, I believe.
yeah, because it's not just a strong deck, it's also a lot of people's comfort pick overall. Like if you don't know what deck to play or like if you're not comfortable in switching to something last minute, most people are going to go back to Dragon Ball because it's just efficient at what it does. But the thing is that Raging Bolt, the single prize one, is very effective at dealing with that deck.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, we'll definitely dive into the picks you picked near the end of the episode here. But it sounds like you were prepared. You knew what you were doing, and that clearly has paid off.
Yeah.
So locking into top eight, like going into top eight, I guess, what was running through your minds? Like what was going through your head? And I guess how did you also like center yourself in that moment?
So getting into top eight was definitely an experience that I can best say in the sense of, oh, I made it this far. It wasn't like a shock mentality, but it was more in the sense of like it wasn't really clicking in right off the bat. Now that I think about it now, where when they announced that they were going to be doing like the top cut, because I believe we did asymmetrical top cut. I think it was just doing top 14 for this event.
Mm-hmm.
They called all the players over to this one post. It was like the green, like Reggie's stand or whatever, to all the top 14 players so that the judges could bring them over for their games. And so I sat there and I sat there for 75 minutes wondering to myself, like, am I in the wrong spot? Like, am I not going to play Pokemon today? Like, what's going on? Like, I'm kind of worried now because I'm like, I feel like I should be somewhere. Like, I'm fairly certain I'm in the right spot. I'm here on time. Like, what's going on? And then I'm informed, like, oh, yeah, you got the bye and now you're in top eight. And like, that moment was just like processing for a good few moments. And I'm like, oh, I really am this far.
Yeah, confirmed.
It's like, oh, that's right. Like, I actually doing a lot better than I thought I was.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you kind of, is it bubbled the right word? I don't know. You pretty much got into top eight, and then you only played the one round against Julius, was it? And that was the one on
Yeah.
stream.
So the reason why is because so this is information that was told to me. And bear in mind, a lot of this information, I don't know how 100% true it is because, again, second event ever. So there's a lot of details I might be missing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, from what I was told is that when asymmetrical top cut is selected, there's a good chance that the top two players tend to have an increased chance of getting a bye, which effectively puts them immediately into quarterfinals. And the thing is that when asymmetrical top cut was announced, I was in second place right behind Bodie Robinson. And so in this case, Bodie had to play one more round, but I got the automatic bye into top cut, or sorry, into a top eight. So because of that, I kind of had to like awkwardly sit there and just be like, "Oh, that's right. Like now I don't have to play any Pokemon at all. I just have to wait it out until I play my next round." So
So okay, interesting, interesting. You got I don't want to say lucky, but you got like
no, dude, it was 100% lucky, dude. That
oh,
is not
okay.
normal. 100%. That's so lucky.
Yeah,
Especially since
well,
I
okay.
dodged the matchup because Bodhi was playing Gardevoir. I think he was the only remaining Gardevoir
Hmm.
within asymmetrical top cut, to my knowledge. And
Hmm.
like that's the one matchup I don't want to see, and I didn't have to see it at all.
Hmm.
Oh,
That's good. You didn't hit any Gardevoir the entire
I
weekend.
didn't see it. Yeah, I didn't see a single Gardevoir the entire weekend because
Oh,
again, math. I kind of assumed there was actually a very good chance I wasn't actually going to see any.
sure, sure. Hey,
Yeah,
I
we'll get
mean,
into that later.
man, I was so prepared for my Goldango matchup. Didn't hit a single one.
Neither did I.
Interesting,
It was
interesting.
literally just like, I kid you not, it was effectively like all Dragapult, one Mega Absol, one Ceruledge, and one
That is
Zoroark, who
random.
I forgot was a Zoroark player because I donked him. So,
Nice, nice,
sorry,
nice.
dude.
Just skill difference, skill difference.
Yeah, just draw better.
So going into like the first tip that you could imbue into our audience or whoever's listening to this episode, just wanting to learn more about the Pokemon trading card game and maybe like esports in general. Is Pokemon an esport? Maybe.
I would count it.
What helped your performance the most? Like, was it your prep, your mindset, testing partners? What do you think helped the most in your performance this past weekend?
Would personally say there are three specific key things that are important for preparing for any event. The first one is obviously practice, right? There's a certain level of, yes, you could go on TCG Live and just grind your deck like 100 times in a row, and that's fine. You can do that. You'll still learn a lot, but it's important that you understand what you're doing with the grinding. It's important to do things like VOD review, looking over where did I make my mistakes, right? So grinding is very much important overall. If you can do it on TCG Live, do it as much as you can. We didn't have that opportunity, unfortunately, due to the whole fiasco with Ascended Heroes release timing.
Yeah.
But ultimately, in any other circumstance, I would highly recommend that. Second one is definitely testing partners. You can review your own stuff, but if you're not getting word from other people on how it is that you should be playing and like trying out their different tactics that they might be thinking of that you should try, you're only really shouting at a wall, right? You're only ever hearing your own voice the whole time. And at like any moment, you could be like, dude, I 100% swear that, like, I don't know, like Team Rocket Spide Ops is the greatest deck in the entire format. I've won like 10 out of my 60 games. Trust me, right? Like, if you don't get any feedback from other players and stuff like that on what you're playing and stuff like that, you're going to be stuck hitting a brick wall, right? And then I think the third, and what personally for me is the most important one, is that regardless of what you're doing, whatever play you're making or whatever deck you're playing, have confidence. If you're not going to have any confidence in what it is that you're playing, and you're going to second think yourself every single time with every play, you're never going to find a solid answer, and you're going to confuse yourself more. If you have an idea in your head that you think is going to work, and you have nothing else in your mind that you think will work it out, have some confidence, go into it, and play it out. If it doesn't work, that's a learning opportunity,
Mm-hmm. I
right?
think, yeah, I totally agree. Well, with everything, of course. I think for myself, like what helped me the most this weekend as my first regional and really my first like long competitive Pokemon experience.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you, thank you. It was really fun. Can I call myself a pro player? I don't know. Competitor. It really was that confidence piece. I really think like the morning of, and this is just speaking personally, like I know how to play this deck. Like I told myself playing Dragapult Dusknoir, like I know it's not the most favored deck in the room, but I know my matchups well. I've studied, I've VOD reviewed, I've asked questions. I know how to play these matchups. And then having to actually do it, I feel like as the day went on, it became more and more evident that I did know what I was doing by getting wins and making the right moves and minimizing mistakes. Now, the mistakes came halfway through the day when I didn't pack enough snacks and energy drinks, but that's still a learning for next time, right?
I offered you a Pop Tart and you said no. This is entirely on you.
I had energy bars, but I think I needed another energy drink. I
Yeah,
think I
yeah,
needed another monster.
yeah.
We got a question from the chat here. Sir Dr. JM Jordan writes in and asks, what's your confidence level at a tourney like this compared to at home Poke Nights, or I guess at home locals?
Truth be told, it really. So, okay, so maybe this is just a me thing, but I am naturally a very confident person when it comes to like card game related stuff because I tend to know Or at least I like to believe I know what I'm talking about for most things. That's not to say that I'm always correct. I'm nothing like that. But more than anything, I really do mean it when I say like confidence is absolutely the key, because if you're going in with the mindset of like, oh, I'm just gonna have fun, heedly do and stuff like that, and I'm just gonna meme to like that, like, yeah, you can have fun at the event, but ultimately, if your goal is to win, like my go-to saying is, if you're playing casually, have fun and try to win. But if you're playing competitively, win and have fun doing it, right? For my situation that I was in during the event, I don't think I was ever particularly like anxious or nervous. I definitely think there was some moments of like adrenaline for me where I'm like, I got to figure out this board state or anything like that. But generally speaking, like you need to go in with the fact of like, if you are having fun playing the game right now and you're doing well, just keep having fun. Ultimately, just if you're trying to have fun, just try to have fun, right? And you might surprise yourself. You might do a lot better than you think. Because ultimately, if you're in a great mood, you're gonna play better, win or lose.
Yeah, or lose and have fun doing it. Like I
Yeah,
can
right.
definitely feel that. I had some great opponents. Shout out Colin, my Raging Bolt opponent, actually,
Yeah,
who it was really big back and forth, and it really came down to the like we were both in our flow state. He got around, I got around, so it was for the win. And then yeah, just great back and forth interactions, chatting, and then even though I lost in the end, I had a lot of fun doing it. Like it was cool to see, and like I made a new friend along the way, which is also
yeah.
really important in that kind of stuff.
I did the same with Julius.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Tell us about Julius. Julius is
Oh
another
my god,
player
dude.
that
Julius is
David played. I'm gonna pull up the video while you talk about him because there's a visual reference to this. So, like, go ahead, go ahead.
Julius ultimately, in my honest opinion, was probably one of the nicest players I played during the whole event. And that's not to discount anybody else that I played against. You know, like there were definitely like a large majority of players that I played against during the event that were like generally super nice and like constantly coming up to talk to me after my matches because they just enjoyed the vibe so much. I think there was only like
Mm.
ever one bad apple during any of my events. And even then, like I can't help but not fault the guy either because, like, I'm fairly certain that I knocked him out of contention. And if he's salty about that, dude, I 100% understand. And if somehow he's watching this, I am so sorry, man. And I hope you're doing a lot better now and that you had fun at the event regardless.
Mm-hmm,
Julius is so fun. He's been doing this for quite a long time. As you can see, he's got a lot of topping events here. Here I am with just one, which is the current one we're in,
Today,
right?
yeah, as of
Literally like that
recording.
event, right? Like I kid you not, like if they put down top aided at a league cup, like I would have lost my mind. That would have been so funny. But Julius is like, how should I put this? Julian is a showman. Like before we
Okay,
went up on stage to play, he was talking about the fact that's like, let's do our absolute best to make sure everyone has a good time watching. Right. And I could tell that. Like he's so sweet. He's like basically like a Finnish puppy because he's from Finland. Right.
wow,
But he's also like so brutally honest on certain things. Like if he has an opinion on something, like he'll usually say it pretty outwardly. But he was super, super nice. We were joking around during the entire time that we were playing. Like it got to the point where like I genuinely forgot we were playing on stage sometimes
that's good.
because like we were
Yeah.
just having fun chatting. He was just super nice.
Did the judge? Were the judges like, "Hey, you guys have to make a move"? It's
No,
chatting,
honestly,
chatting after that.
some of the judges were like giggling and smiling with some of the stuff we were
Aw,
saying because it's like they were just like they're locked in too, you know, making sure that everything's going well. But like ultimately, like they were also having a good time,
that's
right?
awesome. Yeah, Julius does look like a really fun person
He's
to
so
play
cool, man.
games with and really hang out with. Like I watched this match, a little bit of inside baseball. I watched this match like on the drive home from Seattle, and I was
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
I'm
was watching
flattered.
it. Yeah, while just no problem. Of course we got to support. We got to support our buddy. I was watching it while
Thank
like
you.
chatting with my I was in the passenger seat with my driver, and then I was like, man, you got to watch this replay because Julius is putting on the funniest faces like
But
during
yeah,
this
yeah,
game.
dude. Like I like the moment I got home, I turned one of like the faces that you'll see into a meme. It's so good.
Yeah, yeah, important stuff. Memes are important.
Memes are very important.
Sir Dr. JM shouts you out saying he loves how happy you both look in the video.
Well, thank you.
So, of course, like you said, this is not your last regional. In fact, it might be the first one to a beautiful streak of regionals.
And perhaps, yeah.
Yeah. At your next regional, or I guess in future events, what would you approach differently preparing for those events compared to this one?
It's kind of hard to say because there's not really a lot that I would say I would change in my preparation. I think ultimately, like everything that I was doing in preparation for Seattle, like the proof is in the pudding, right? Like ultimately, I feel like everything that I prepared for prior for this event worked out relatively well. I think the only thing that I would like change is just that like when we were going to the event, I believe it was like Dragos or somebody else. I think it was Dragos who was like saying like after the event's done, like let's bring our Yu-Gi-Oh and Gundam decks and play like on Sunday afterwards. And like we were so tired after Sunday that like we didn't really want to play it like that much. So it was just like I brought like one Yu-Gi-Oh deck and like two Gundam decks to play, and like they just took up so much space in my bag that like I had to like stuff so much in there to make it home. So I was like, yeah, never again. I'm just gonna play my Pokemon
Yeah,
stuff next
yeah.
time.
Pack light sounds
Yeah, but
like.
like ultimately, like we were lucky because like again, like I live in Vancouver, right?
Mhm.
So because of that, like we carpooled all the way over to Seattle, so we didn't have to bring a lot of stuff. But generally speaking, like despite the fact that we did not need to bring a lot of stuff, I'm sure there was some things we brought that we did not need.
Yeah.
So I think that's the one thing I would change is like I'm just if I'm going to a Pokemon event, I'm just bringing Pokemon related stuff.
Do you ever pack like your Switch and then you just never play your Switch the entire
We did
weekend?
so funny you say that. We did that when we went to Anaheim for Worlds because we went as like spectators,
Yeah, yeah.
to my buddies and I. And I want to say we probably took out our Switch like a grand total of like two times ever. And I'm like, yeah, probably not doing that again.
Yep, yep. I've learned that the hard way too. I brought a Steam Deck once, and I was like, I'd never touch this once because you're busy
Yeah.
traveling and
Yeah.
and trying new stuff and all
I
that.
think the only exception to that would be like if you're flying and you're really bored, like, yeah, sure, bring it
Yeah,
if you want to keep yourself entertained, right? But
sure.
I didn't need to do that.
Set. Well, I'd love to go back in time a little bit into your history with Pokemon TCG because I also think that's interesting. But before I do that, I'd like to remind everybody that you are watching Grow Up Level Up here on YouTube or listening on podcasts around the globe. If you like what you're hearing and would like to support me and Jordan and David as well, leave us a like, comment, and subscribe. As well, if you really like what you're listening to, you can pick up some merch at growuplevelup.com. So check us out, support us. We are a small indie podcast who just love highlighting cool people, doing cool things, and making sure that, yeah, playing games as adults is important and should be celebrated. Now, going back to the interview with David Andrews, of course, top 8 here at the Seattle Regionals this past weekend, 2026. Well, let's bring it back away from the year 2026. When did you start playing Pokemon TCG? And I guess, like, how did you end up getting into Pokemon TCG?
So I got into Pokemon right around the time that Temporal Forces released. Forgive me, I don't remember the exact timestamp of that. I think like it was
I'll
like
research.
yeah, it was I want to say like late 2024 ish, give or take.
Yeah, actually, March 2024. So
Oh,
coming up
okay,
on
so
2 years
never
here.
mind. Wow,
Coming
oh
up
my
on two
god,
years.
so much time has passed already, huh? But yeah, no, I started in Temporal Forces format, and I got into playing it thanks to my son. For those of you who don't know, I'm a single father, right? And my son is a fan of Pokemon, and it kind of like it's kind of a very like cute way that I got into it was back when I was playing in the Yu-Gi-Oh community for a good while. I had a friend of mine that we called Slick. He happened upon I believe it was, and what was the name of this set? It was something Crown. I can't remember. It was an ETB. It had
Not
it's not
Stellar Crown. That
Stellar
was a little
Crown.
later.
It's another name with the name Crown in it. What I do know
Okay,
is that
okay.
it came with a V Star Lucario like a Lucario V Star promo inside of it. Forgive me, I can't remember the name of the set.
I'll research. I'll research.
Probably because I wasn't playing during that time. He happened upon it, and he came up to me and told me, "Well, like, hey, David, does your son like Pokemon, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, he likes Pokemon a good amount, right?" And he's like, "Well, listen, I have this Elite Trainer box for this set, and I was going to give it to my niece for Christmas, but one of my family members gave her the exact same gift. So now I'm just stuck with this EDB. So I'll tell you what, how would you feel if I gave this to you to give to your son as a belated Christmas gift?" And I was like, wow, like that sounds amazing. Yes, thank you. Right. So he passed me the ETB. It was through like a super like cold, snowy winter during that time. And I brought it home, gave it to him as like a nice little gift to open it up. And like my son was like in love with the cards, like almost instantaneously. Like he was opening up packs, he was pulling some cool cards here and there. He was like loving all of it. And it kind of came to my attention that I realized, like, well, when I was younger, I also collected Pokemon cards. And to this day, I'd always known there was a TCG for it, but like I never actively looked into it because I was always playing another TCG. So I was kind of just too busy for it, right? So I decided on a whim, well, let's look into it. Why not? Let's see how it goes, right? So I booted up TCG Live. I took a look into how the game is played, and the very first deck that I picked up on TCG Live. Some of you might hoorah, some of you might hate me. I played Lost Box Giratina,
Mm, mhm.
and I instantly fell in love with the deck because Giratina has always been like kind of one of my favorite like legendary Pokemon out there. I wouldn't say it's my favorite one for obvious reasons, but it's a very cool one nonetheless. So with that knowledge, I bought a pre-constructed Meowscarada EX deck from a store, sleeved it up, and I went to one of my locals and I was just like, let's just play some Pokemon with this garbage deck and let's just have fun. Like even I could tell it was bad, you know, like even playing it, I was like, wow, this does nothing. Awesome. So I brought it in and I decided at the same time while I was at it, I had some old Pokemon cards that I was thinking like, well, maybe somebody would be interested in these because like I've never been a collector personally. I've always been a player with card games. So one of the cards I happened upon when I was younger is I had a Gold Star Latias, but it's like really damaged. And like the card is like really expensive to my knowledge. Like it was definitely like worth like well over like 2 grand or so at the time. But like the one that I had was like so insanely damaged. Like the most I could get out of it is like barely over $200, which honestly,
That's still
fine with
quite a
me.
bit, eh?
Fine with me. I could care less, right? So whilst I was going around, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the one right there. I decided to go around and see if anybody had any of the cards for Lost Box because I was curious to see if anybody would have the cards so I could build it real quick. And to my knowledge, like I remember just meeting one guy there whose name I'm completely blanking on. And I looked at his binder, and not only did he have the majority of the Lost Box cards that I wanted, he had 4 copies of the illustration rare Comfey. And I was like, oh, I really want those, but they're probably expensive, right? And bear in mind, this is coming from a guy who played Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic. Those card games are not cheap. They are very expensive to get the
Mhm.
cards, especially for
Mhm.
like Yu-Gi-Oh! Especially because like most of them are like printed like one time ever. And if it's like a secret rare card, good luck. You're spending like $80 a copy. It's
Yep,
insane, right?
$85 staple, and
So
you need a playset.
yeah, right. So I look over and I ask him like, "Well, how much is on the illustration rare cone face?" And like he searches them up and he's like, "Yeah, I can do like 3 each." I was like, "Done. I'll buy them right now." Right. And so I was slowly building up my deck, met up with some other people at my locals. I had to buy 3 different versions of Garatina V-Star, like a regular one, a rainbow one, and then the illustration one from
Wow.
I think the set was actually
The
called
Crown
Crown
Zenith.
Zenith.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah, I
one,
looked it up.
Crown Zenith. Right. So
Well,
I
you
have the
played with that
illustration.
gold shiny one?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Yeah,
Holy.
yeah. Dude, I was like, I gotta play the deck. Like, I don't care what the rarity is. I'm just gonna play the
Yeah.
damn card, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
I sold my gold Latias to get the card, but not only that, I also got a Prime Catcher because Prime Catcher had just come out from Temporal Forces, right? So I decided I was like, you know, what, I'll just get the whole thing. And by the time that I was looking at the amount of cards I had piled up, like I was like 1 or 2 cards off from just building the entire deck. So like 2 minutes before the local started, I quickly
Wow.
scrounged up the remaining cards and built Lost Box Giratina. And I think that day I went 4-1 by accident. So that was
Nice.
like a good start to like, huh, Pokemon's pretty cool.
Yeah,
And from there it's history. Like I just been playing since.
that's awesome. Yeah, like one of the things that draws me to Pokemon, of course, is the gameplay and the community, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is so compared to every other card game, it is
Yeah.
dirt cheap to play.
Yeah.
Dirt cheap to
Absolutely.
get any card you need, especially if you just want like the base rarity and all that. So yeah, that's a really big plus for Pokemon TCG. And look at you now, 2 years later, top aided at a regional. Where are we gonna be in another 2 years, as they say? So
Playing a
I
different
guess
deck because all of them will rotate.
they'll all rotate, but
Yeah.
Rotation's cool. Like it's one of the cool things about TCGs. It keeps the games fresh, and yeah, you got to buy new cards. But like, aren't you bored of playing the same thing against the same thing all the time too? Like,
Not if
one
it's
of the cool
Raging
things.
Bull every
Ah,
time.
Raging Bolt. Well, hold on. Let's take a little fork in the road here. I want to highlight this. Raging Bolt is your favorite deck, but what's your favorite Pokemon? We never asked that.
Ogerpon, 100%.
That's right.
Ogerpon's my
That's right.
favorite one. For a long time, it was Snowrun and like the whole Snowrun line, but like when Ogerpon was like coming out, instantly became my favorite.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
Yeah.
So, playing Pokemon TCG, what keeps you invested this whole time? And I guess what also drives you as like a competitor?
Well, I've always naturally been a very competitive person when it comes to like games, especially. So like that part was like always easy. Like if I'm gonna play a card game or something like that, especially as somebody who's competed in card games before, you bet I'm gonna go all in on it, right? As much as I can at least. But the main thing that got me into like Pokemon and like what keeps me in it is like more than anything, it's the community, man. Like, I can't say for certain for like all the other communities out there all around the world. I genuinely don't know how some people feel about it, but like at least where I am here in Vancouver, dude, the Vancouver scene for Pokemon, dude, people are awesome. They are
Hmm.
so cool. Like it's really refreshing to just have those moments where like you can go look at somebody's binder and if you're interested in a card, they are fully willing to just like trade cards. Like I'm like, "Oh my god, like that's right. This is a trading card game. We don't just
It's
have to
in the
take out our
name, yes,
wallets." Like
yes, yes, yes,
what?
yeah,
That's insane, right?
yeah, yeah.
Cuz like
I
every other card game I played was not like that.
well, and what Yu-Gi-Oh and
Yu-Gi-Oh and
Magic?
Magic
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
primarily.
Yeah, I think the community is huge in my motivation to stay around as well. Like you, of course, a bunch of our other mutual friends and colleagues here in the Vancouver TCG scene, and it's just like if you like, you'll know somebody who knows somebody because the community is so small, but everyone's like cool and chill and like diverse as well. I want to shout that out as well. Pokemon has
Yeah.
that going for it as well. Um, so going back to the competition and like your advice to future competitors or future top eighters, what advice would you give to folks who also want to be as competitive as you and also have that competitive mindset and have like big goals for themselves too, whether it's locals or Pokemon regionals?
I would probably just go back to the same thing that I said about like the three key things there, like ultimately just like grinding with VOD review, having people to practice with to look up and be like, hey, you suck at this game. You should probably play it better. Right. And having the confidence. Like ultimately, like those are just like the main thing. And this is information I would give to anybody who's new to the game or interested in getting into the game and to anybody who wants to get more competitive with the game. Like that mindset should never be changing, in my opinion. If you are not confident in what you're going to be doing, you're not going to do well. That's ultimately like the reality of it. Like you can be lucky and win for sure, but if you want to keep going with it, like luck eventually runs out. That's the reality of it. So if you're not confident in what you're going to play or what kind of move you're going to do in a match and stuff like that, you are not going to perform well, in my opinion. So I think that like I think out of the three, like confidence is like the biggest one. Just like go in, have fun, and just like do the best you can more than anything, right? If you're gonna slap down like this ace spec card at like the worst possible time in the game, bro, if you're confident in it, you never know when it's gonna be like the best play out of nowhere, and people just aren't prepared for it.
Part of that is also just the, yeah, like I was gonna say like poker face, but it's almost like the opposite of a poker face. Like if you're confident, uh, that will also help you and show your opponent that like, hey, I know what I'm doing, and maybe that'll throw them off. Maybe that'll just help them have fun as
I definitely
well.
think poker face helps, but like if you watch over like my game with like Julius, like we did the polar opposite, man. Like we did
Yeah,
not have poker face at all. Like when you look at Julius's like face when he has a bad hand, like it is so obvious, like his hand sucks.
yeah,
And
yeah.
like it's the same thing for me, man. I'll just be
Let's just
like
keep
I
playing.
try to keep a poker face, but man, that guy is just so funny, man. Like I can't.
Yeah,
He's great.
shout out to Julius. What a cool guy.
What a cool
Hopefully, you
guy.
run into him someday. He might be your new
I might
Pokemon
be going to
rival.
LA, and I believe he might be going there too.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Well, run it back for LA, which is coming up soon in May. Hopefully we'll see you again on the Limitless pages. Add another line to your Limitless record. Now, as we come to a close on this interview, and before we dive into the deck tech, do you have any final advice for anybody who is thinking about getting into the Pokemon TCG, is in it, but wants to improve? Or maybe just in life in general, do you have any final advice for anyone?
Here's my current thoughts. Ultimately, more than anything, is if you enjoy playing this game, keep playing it, right? Life will get you down in like the most unexpected ways, but like the community of the people that you're around can lift you up so much. I know that personally, right? And for those of you who want to get better at the game, don't be afraid to move outside your comfort zone, right? Ultimately, like for me, as somebody who plays Raging Bolt, I naturally gravitate to decks that are aggro or like mid range playstyle. But if you see a deck that interests you and it doesn't hold to your typical playstyle, give it a try. You'd be surprised what you can discover about yourself with certain decks. You learn a lot about all these different decks, how they function. And even if you don't end up playing them yourselves, if you play against somebody who's playing it, maybe you'll have a bit more inside information and it could help out a lot more than you think. I may hate Gardevoir personally and playing against Gardevoir, but even I've done some test runs of Gardevoir to get a better idea as to how I can counter it. Where does it fail? Where does it feel like it's difficult? Things like that will tend to come up for you. So keep your chin up, keep your mind open, and keep your head on a swivel.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I echo that as well. Be open to new things. Definitely try new things. Pokemon being as accessible as it is, low barrier to entry, as Jordan said in the chat. Like, use that to your advantage. Try new things. Do it on whether it's online or in person, and you never know what you might run into. Awesome. Let's dive into our Raging Bolt deck tech. Of course, this has been an interview into David's mind, top 8 player at Seattle Regionals. What works for him and the advice that he gives to you so that you can find perhaps the same success one day. But enough of that psychological stuff. Let's go into the let's go into the deck tech and take a look at, I guess, what worked for you, David. This I pulled up here. If you're listening on podcast, come over to YouTube. I have pulled up David's list, the exact 60 cards that he played to Seattle Regionals. Of course, for those who don't know what a Raging Bolt list is, I like to describe it as a shotgun, where it does a lot of damage just once. So your job is to load that shotgun up each turn, do your big blast, and make sure, of course, that big blast is the right blast on the right target, and then figure out a way on your next turn to reload it again and do it as many times as you need to win. Is that how you would describe it as well, David?
Yeah, I would definitely say that. I mean, like my variant adjusts for that a lot more. But yeah, if you're talking about the standard Raging Bolt playstyle, yeah, hard agree. It is very much a big shotgun blast to the face.
Love that. Of course, Raging Bolt is also kind of looks like a shotgun. He's like a big brontosaurus giraffe.
He's my long neck boy.
Yeah, very long neck. Cute guy, cute guy. I'm just gonna let you go through it. Where do you want to start with this deck tech? Do you want to start with the maybe we'll start with the spiciest thing here. Two, as we call them, baby bolts. The Raging Bolt regular type, not EX. So you have two of these. Of course, they're used to more or less snipe. We say shotgun, now we say snipe the targets on the board or the bench around. Why'd you put in two?
Yeah, so this deck sucks. No. No.
It didn't get all the way to the end. It's just garbage.
All for the single cost of 1 water energy and 2 colorless. I personally think that play is really iffy. And my reason for it is not only are you doing that sniping attack, you are also shuffling the energy attached to Wellspring Ogerpon back into your deck, which is also why the deck has varied now and plays more of a 4 Crispin, 3 Sada kind of playstyle. I don't like that very much personally because Sada is just such an important and powerful card in the deck that can really get you going, not just energy wise, but also like drawing more and more answers. Um, And not only that, in order to be able to use Sod in the first place, you need to have energy in your discard. So it's kind of polar opposite to put those energies back into your deck, especially
Mhm.
when we're in a format where cards like Badoo and Foolish are around right now, where cards like Earthen Vessel aren't going to be usable to get those energies out of the deck anymore, right? So it's a bit of a, how should I say, big load up and fire, and then now what? Like you've done this big explosive play and you've knocked out two Pokemon. That's great. I'm not going to dispute that, but like now what do we do, right? And if you have Sadas in your hand, like, well, unless you discarded some energy earlier, like it's just going to sit there. It's not really going to do much else. So I didn't really like that play. So I knew deep down that like, well, sniping is still a very powerful tool right now. As a matter of fact, if you look at the majority of the decks in the top listings right now, majority of them are some form of sniping, right? Dragapult can snipe the bench with its 60 damage ping, and Dusknoir. Gardevoir has Scream Tail, Marty's Grimmsnarl snipes for 30, and has Monkey Dory spread. Like, there's a lot of ways around that. So my mind went to, how can I also do the same thing? And well, for a good bit, we were already doing it with Baby Bolt, right? The single prize Raging Bolt. But I started noticing that, especially into matchups like Dragapult, not only is it insanely powerful, it's extremely necessary. And what I mean by that is if you prize the one Baby Bolt, you're going to be at a massive deficit now because there's not a lot of ways to be able to hit those backline Dreepies and Dracloaks anymore if you don't have that option. So that's where my mind went to, is like, well, let's play two, because sometimes you're going to get into game states. I've done it multiple times during the event where I actually ended up setting up two Baby Bolts at the same time, and like not even the EX ones, because it was just so oppressing to keep sniping for 90 constantly and constantly. And don't forget, it's an escalating damage. The more energy you invest into these cards, the more they're going to snipe for. And a lot of people even go so far as to forget the fact that it actually has a second attack. For a lightning, a fighting, and a
Oh, yeah.
colorless, it does 130 damage to the active, which is a pretty solid amount, right? Like that hits pretty hard and can knock out most things that are single prize. So I decided that like I'm going to invest a lot of it into these two Baby Bolts. I wasn't confident in it before. It wasn't until about a week or two before Seattle that I ended up going undefeated during a league challenge with it. I was like, okay, yeah, like this definitely seems like a lot better. It's not, I wouldn't say an entire league challenge is enough to quantify playing this exact ratio, but it worked for me, right? So I decided to stick with it.
Cool,
That's my
cool.
mindset.
Yeah. I mean, it worked out in the end. It makes a lot of sense. Now, I do want to shout out on your stream here with Julius, you prize both Baby Bolts, but hey,
Yeah.
that just happens sometimes, okay?
Yeah.
You prize your two pieces exactly what you need. Okay, the other card I want to highlight here, the rest of the deck is pretty standard. Raging Bolt fair. You got your Professor Sada Vitality, the Judge, Iron Leaves, because there's a lot of dark types going around right now. It's a good pick. It's the Battle Cage down here, actually. Prevent all damage from being placed on your benched Pokemon, but just the one of it. So what got you to the Battle Cage?
So prior to this, most Raging Bolt lists will play Jamming Tower instead of the Battle Cage, because Jamming Tower is generally a pretty good card for most matchups, just because like if you play into Absolbox, for example, which is already a very favorable matchup, bear in mind, you can disable their ability to use TM Turbo Energize, right? If you play into a TM Evo deck that plays Arvin, you can turn that off. But the main reason why we play this second stadium instead is just generally speaking is you want to bump your own area 0 so that you can clear up space on your bench and remove any liabilities, so that on a later turn you can place another area 0, set that all up again. That's the general intent. I noticed during a lot of testing that the Jamming Tower was not coming into play often enough because, as I had mentioned before, Dragapult is a very high play rate during these kind of events, and Dragapult doesn't typically play any tools. If you play against Absolbox, if they put a Bravery Charm on Kangaskhan, it goes to 350 HP. Regardless of what you do with the Bravery Charm, Raging Bolt EX is still going to require a total of 5 energy to knock out this Kangaskhan, regardless if it has a Bravery Charm or not. So after doing a few testing here and there with a few different decks, I kind of came to a conclusion that Jamming Tower, whilst good, was not necessary. So how do we adjust for that? And the easiest thing that came to my mind was Monkey Dory and the Dusknoir line is problematic. So one of the more difficult game states for Raging Bolt is sometimes you get really unlucky and you don't have a way to get fan rotom, which means you can at max like maybe bench like one or two Hootuts if you're really lucky, right? Despite not being able to fan. And
Mhm.
if your opponent is smart enough to see that liability, they're going to use Dusknoir or Monkey Dory or any kind of combination of sorts to slowly push damage onto them to either pressure you into using Noctowl early or knocking out your Hoothoot. That was one thing I really didn't like. The other thing as well is that when you play Battle Cage, because your opponent is usually going to have that knowledge, knowing that you're protecting your bench with that, a lot of the times my opponent would use Dusknoir to knock out my Baby Bolt. And that came with two benefits, actually, was that one, not only am I getting a prize out of this, but two, they don't know I'm playing a second one. It's not common, right? So they don't
Yeah.
know that I'm playing a second one and that I have a way to prepare it, right? Because it doesn't take a lot, typically, right? And the third one that comes up with that too is that energy that was all on Baby Bolt is now going to the discard, which means that Sada is now live, right? So
Mhm.
it kind of came into these certain situations where my opponent would go into something like an Itchy Pollen after doing such a play, and I would just have to look at him and be like, "I'm so sorry, bro. I'm gonna bench a second Baby Bolt, and I'm gonna snipe and kill your Badoo for 60 because I might not be able to do an energy switch, right, because of the item lock. But at the very least, I'm
Mhm.
still consistently taking a prize." And a lot of them were not prepared for that line of play.
Very cool.
It's kind of a bait in a way as well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, all the lines you're describing do work against one of your biggest problems, which is Dragapult. So it does work. That's cool though. Yeah, yeah, a little bit of a bait as well. I don't know. Will this Raging Double Baby Bolt become more popular? We'll just have to
I'm
wait
already
and
seeing it
see.
on live.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Trendsetter. Love it. I guess you were, yeah, the highest placing Raging Bolt list. So of course people
I was
will
also the highest
stereolist.
placing Canadian.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Patriot. um, I guess. Hmm. I had a question, but oh yeah, would you be playing the same list into your next regional? Of course, we're in a different format. The next regional is a couple months away. You are Mr. Ogerpon, the Raging Bolt guy, or do you want to keep it secret? You don't want the people to
So
know what
I
you're
will
playing.
not say 100% because in truth, right now, like I want anybody who's watching this to go in understanding. I was only intending to go to the one regional and then afterwards just save up money to go on a trip to San Fran to spectate Worlds. That was my plan for this year. That has now been changed after this topping event, right? So now I feel like I have to play at these other events. So currently I'm thinking of going to either LA or NAI. And so as of this moment, I am like struggling to figure out what decks to play right now. I'm kind of in between right now. And especially if I end up going to LA, I believe that is already past rotation by then. So there's already going to be a lot of
Yeah.
differences in my deck, right? Like cards like Sada, Ditto, the cards like that are going to be
Hmm.
gone. So I'll probably have to be testing for that. If there is a way for me to effectively play Raging Bolt, I will try to play Raging. But in reality, there is a good chance I might have to swap to something else. But trust me, if there's like a way to play it, I will find a way if possible. Because God, I love Raging Bolt and I love Ogerpon so much. They're just so much fun to play, personally.
Heck yeah. Hey, I think there is a beautiful thing about finding the style of deck you like and just like main decking the hell out of it, becoming the master of it. If you are watching on YouTube, David just put up a really cool Teal Mask Ogerpon thing. Well, that brings us to the end of our interview with top 8 at Seattle 2026 regional winner David Andrews, playing the Raging Bolt, of course. Thanks for coming on to Grow Up Level Up and not only giving everybody advice and a little insight into how you view Pokemon and games and stuff, but also like celebrating the fact that yes, we are all adults. Yes, we still find time to play games because it is important to have a community and to nerd out about stuff like this. So thank you for coming on to the show, David.
And thank you for having me. It was a blast.
Awesome, awesome.
I like
If
yapping about Raging Bolt.
Well, we got to bring you back on. Maybe we'll do another episode on maybe your experiences at what is it, LA North American International Championships and World Championships. Maybe we'll do like a year end journey into our Pokemon journey.
Yeah, man.
That kind of episode. Yeah. If people want to keep up with you, I know you don't do the whole social media thing too much, but if people want to keep up with you, where can people find you?
That's the fun part. You can't.
Very well.
I don't really have social media personally. So the best way I would say is just keep an eye out in the event that I go to another event. If I see you and you recognize me, come say hi, give me a handshake, have a quick dap up or something like that. Let's just have a good conversation.
Awesome, awesome. Wow, very exclusive. If you want to follow David, you gotta be in, you gotta be where he's gotta be. Of course. Thank you again for coming on to the show, David. If you would like to hear more interviews like this, or maybe a little bit about what Jordan and I have been playing lately, make sure you like, comment, subscribe to Grow Up Level Up wherever you can find it. Make sure you follow at Samson XP on all the socials as well, and at Grow Up Level Up on all the socials as well. We like to do podcasts like these to highlight about how games are important in our adult lives. David, once again, thank you for coming on to the show and hope to see you in San Francisco for Worlds.
Thank you kindly, and thank you for having me. It was a blast. I enjoyed it a lot.
No problem.